Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, Influencer Smurf. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico's got the day off today, so it's just us, a smaller crew, and most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day, and here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question that you'd like us to address on the show, as long as I deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news. This tip link, good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to this show a little bit later, maybe on our podcast feed, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or maybe you're watching this video a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question anytime you want. And if you send it in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode.
I had a question, John, real quick,
yes.
before we start the show. Last night, I just was thinking about how insane this Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers was. It's crazy.
The only trade that I can think of that's worse than what the Dallas Mavericks just did is when the LA Clippers traded everything for Paul George and got nothing out of it. Yes, it's kind of crazy.
Keeping it with Hollywood and movies and TV, how long do you think until we see Luka in something? I'll give you over under a year.
Under.
I
think, I mean, you put, I mean, I know we're not supposed to be talking about sports, but you put like maybe the face of the NBA and you bring him into Los Angeles, there's going to be, whether it's cameo spots or
Space
whatever.
Jam?
Well, yeah, maybe not a Space Jam 3. Maybe not Space Jam 3, but you'll see him popping up in things that are like, especially shows that are supposed to take place in LA.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
They'll bump into Luka or something like that.
Welcome to LA.
Anyway, guys, we got a few things lined up here to talk about, so we're going to get things started with this. You know, you be forgiven if you didn't, and if you weren't aware of this upcoming Seth Rogen show called The Studio. They haven't done a lot to promote it, to be honest. They had dropped an earlier trailer. Well, today, they dropped a new trailer for this show that's coming to Apple Plus. And the name of the trailer is Depocalypse. And it starts off with this. If you guys haven't seen it, you've got to see it. It starts off with this. Basically, they're making a zombie movie. But instead of you getting infected by zombies biting you, you get infected when zombies spray their blood-filled diarrhea out of their asses on you. And that's what kills you and turns you into a diarrhea zombie. And it's glorious. It's one of the best things I could have possibly seen all week. And so they dropped this trailer, and apparently this little spot is going to play at the Super Bowl. And you know what? The cast for this thing
Stacked.
is completely stacked. Get this. Martin Scorsese. You know how many episodes? Probably a lot of these are going to be like one episode. Martin Scorsese, Zac Efron, Catherine O'Hara, Bryan Cranston, Catherine Hahn, Paul Dano, Seth Rogen, Ike Barinholtz. By the way, Ike Barinholtz is one of the most underrated guys in movies.
Wasn't he the neighbor in the neighbor?
Yes,
yeah.
And he was in Blockers with John Cena.
Right.
He's one of these guys who's just hilarious, and you recognize him immediately when he pops up in something, but nobody knows his name. He actually came into our studio once.
He did.
And he was delightful and wonderful and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, the show looks all kinds of hilarious. If you don't know anything about it, here's the basic premise of it, okay? So here's the log line. As movies struggle to stay alive and relevant, Matt, that's played by Seth Rogen, and his core team of infighting executives battle their own insecurities as they wrangle narcissistic artists and craven corporate overlords in the ever-elusive pursuit of making great films. With their power suits making their never-ending sense of panic, every party, every set visit, casting decision, marketing meetings, and award show presents them with an opportunity for glittering success or career-ending catastrophe. As someone who eats, sleeps, and breathes the movies, it's the job Matt's been pursuing his whole life, and it may very well destroy him. The reason I love this trailer, and then it got me to go back and watch the other trailer for it before, is because as I'm watching it, you have to understand, I've been fortunate enough in my career to be on studio lots a lot. I've even had the opportunity to sit in big studio pitch meetings and stuff like that. Here's the crazy thing. What Seth Rogen just showed in this trailer as the atmosphere in a studio is more accurate than anything else I've seen ever portrayed in film. Now, it's not exactly like that. It's not as over to the top and ridiculous, but it's total chaos. It's everybody fighting for their little piece of the pie. It's like the most ridiculous things being said. And I really think Seth Rogen tapped into something here. So if you haven't seen the first trailer, in the first trailer, Seth Rogen is just like, he's talking to Catherine O'Hara and he's like, I've loved the movies my whole life. And now I'm being asked to be this head of this studio. And I feel like they're making it my job to destroy the movies. And
Right.
it's one of the funniest things.
It seems like what Lionsgate is actually going through right now. I mean, and it's actually it's Lionsgate, the studio behind this series. But it's going to be on Apple TV Plus. Two things. This kind of like reminds me of like the movie studio version of Entourage, or maybe even the one that got really popular on Netflix, where they have these cameos being played by, they're playing themselves. Yeah. Most likely, right? So,
as far as I know, yeah.
And number two, would you rather get doo-dooed on or bit by a zombie in order to get infected? I'll straight say I'd rather get doo-dooed on. If I'm going to get infected, this will be the only time you'll ever hear me say, I want to get shit on.
Well, that is clearly the question of the day, right? Like that's the question. Which would you rather have and do? And you know what? I'm going to say bit. You know why I'm going to say bit?
Man, that's flesh coming off your neck.
Okay, yeah. But I'm going to say bit because you can get bit once and then it's done. Like, if you get zombie blood diarrhea on you, until the moment you die, you're just always aware that you've got blood diarrhea on you. And
you
to me...
you think the zombies who got shitted on are just walking shame? Like,
yeah, walking
like,
shame. Oh, it's just so funny when Johnny Knoxville goes, he's dropping trow.
He's a half C.
He's half C.
He's not a real zombie. No.
Anyway, I think this looks great.
It does.
I'm really excited about it. I love movies that give an inside kind of self-aware look at the movie business. And I think Seth Rogen's the guy to do this. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see the trailer for The Studio, the Depocalypse trailer? If so, what did you think about it? Maybe to you it looks too silly. I think it looks fantastic. I can't wait to watch this. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Rob Liefeld, or Liefeld,
yeah.
who we have had in our studio before. Super nice guy. I really enjoyed the opportunities that we've had to talk to him. Creator, of course, of Deadpool. Been around, a lot, especially with the resurgence of Deadpool, with Ryan Reynolds making it one of the most popular characters in movies today. Well, Rob is now saying on his podcast, by the way, his podcast is also called Robservations, which is the same name of Robert Meyer Burnett's podcast. Anyway, who had it first? I don't know. I'll leave that up to them to argue about. But he's now coming out and saying that he's done with Marvel, that he has, quote unquote, cut ties after Deadpool and Wolverine. And it's not because he didn't like the movie. It's not because he doesn't like Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman. He really doesn't like Kevin Feige.
Ooh.
And he says that they have actively tried to shame and disrespect him. And I guess one of the final straw was that at the premiere for Deadpool and Wolverine, him and his family were not allowed to the after party. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety, who wrote the following about this. They said this: Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld has declared he has cut ties in all ways with Marvel after he and his family weren't invited to Disney's after party for last July's Deadpool and Wolverine premiere. Liefeld has other gripes with Marvel involving the placement of creator credits in the film and what he perceives as a lack of respect from the film and television studio chief Kevin Feige. Liefeld attended the screening at Manhattan's Lincoln Center and says he posed on the red carpet with Deadpool and Wolverine creative team, but alleges the photos were deleted before they were posted anywhere. He said this: "It was meant to embarrass, diminish, and defeat me," he said of his experience at the New York City premiere on the latest episode of his Robservations podcast. He added his reps tried to get the Liefeld family into the party, but they were ultimately turned away by the studio's publicity team. Disney is the deciding factor here. To have them say, you and your family are not welcome here. We tolerated you for the screening. At that point, I knew in my heart I couldn't go forward." All right. You know, this reminds me a little bit of a scenario back when Solo, a Star Wars story, was coming out. They had two characters. They had a small role, small scene, but there were two characters in that movie called Tag and Bink that were created by a guy we know, a friend of ours, Kevin Rubio, created those characters, and he couldn't get invited to the premiere. Like the creator of those characters that were used in the movie. I mean, I even called Disney myself and said, hey, the guy who created these characters, he would like to come. And they couldn't get anything worked out. Now, look, I understand that premieres, limited space. There's only so many seats. I get it. After parties, I guess there are fire codes, limited seats, but how many people could go? But I'm going to look at this from 2 points of view. Mm-hmm. First of all, there's Rob there posing. I'm guessing that's with his family at the premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, let me talk on the one hand for a second, and then I'm going to jump over to the other. I think Rob may be overreacting a little bit. I mean, it's not like he wasn't invited to the premiere. It's not like he has, I mean, even in the movie Deadpool and Wolverine, they got his name up. Like they actually dropped Rob Liefeld Easter eggs in the movie, and you're there. And I mean, look, I don't know what the scenario was, whether it was just a simple oversight. Somebody maybe some intern made a mistake on the guest list, or they purposely, I don't want that Rob Liefeld at our party. I don't know what it was, but to say, I'm going to cut all ties with you and I want nothing to do with you after they put your name in the movie and all that and they took this character of yours and made it a global phenomena. Yeah, I could understand being upset. I'd be upset too, but I wonder if it would be if he's not just overreacting a little bit and say, I'm done with you. I'm cutting all ties with Marvel and nothing more to do with you ever again, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's on one side, but on the other side, so like if I was Rob's friend and I'm talking to him, say, Rob, listen, I get it. I'd be pissed off too. Take a breath. I mean, maybe you're overreacting just a little, just because you didn't get into some party, right? Okay. Now, if I'm Kevin Feige's friend, I'm saying to him, what the hell are you doing? You literally have the creator of Deadpool here, and he's not allowed to come into the after party? It's not the biggest deal in the world, but that's some ignorant crap. I mean, I like, what on earth could be? Now, again, I want to leave space for the possibility that, hey, again, maybe some intern just forgot to put him on the list. And the poor door guy was just like, look, I'm sorry, dude, you're not on the list. I can't let you in. Or, I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know all the details, so I don't want to presume that I do. But again, if I'm on the inside over at Marvel and Disney, I would say, number one, how on earth can this happen? Number two, if it was a total mistake and a total oversight, somebody get on the phone with Rob and profusely apologize. Now, look, I've heard some people say that Rob Liefeld in the last couple of years, I'm not saying this. I've heard the criticism say that Rob Liefeld wants to be the belle of the ball, like wants all the attention to be on him with all the Deadpool stuff coming out. And maybe there's some legitimacy to that, and maybe there's not at all. But something like this, he didn't ask to be the one to introduce the movie at the premiere. He's not he didn't like, he's just, hey, I'm here with my family. Can we come into the party of the movie centered around the character I created? And to say no, again, if it was an oversight and an accident, they should have gotten on the phone with him, say, hey, Rob, listen, I heard about what happened at the party. Man, I'm so sorry about that. That was a massive oversight on our part. Tell you what, let me make it up to you. Why don't we do X? Like, hey, if we get a Golden Globe nomination, why don't you come sit at the table with us? Or, something like that. So on both sides, I think Rob might have been overreacting a little bit, but at the same time, this is not something Marvel should have let happen in the first place.
But on the other hand, let's say there's someone that you get along with, like business-wise, whatever. Like you invite, like, let's say you're getting married. You invite them to the wedding, but you feel if they appear at the after party, they could get drunk. You guys could get in a fight like that you guys been fighting. It may be one of those situations, you know what I mean, John? Like where it's like, yeah, me and you are close enough. You're invited to the wedding. You're going to be there. We know it. But I know how you could be in public setting in the party, and I don't want to risk not having a good time at that party. Let's like keep you away from that because you might be in my ear the whole time. You should have done this. You should have done this with Deadpool. And I just want to have a good time and celebrate this movie.
I think that's a great analogy. But if it's the bride's brother,
right,
it doesn't matter.
Right. True.
Brother's got to be there.
Right.
And
true.
I would say if it's the creator of Deadpool,
I'm with Rob.
If he's, what? If you're Kevin Feige, let's say Rob, again, we're making this up. This is
right.
Totally made up.
We don't know the relationship.
No. We're just making this up. I'm just for the sake of a scenario, okay? Let's say everybody at Marvel knows that Rob Liefeld, once he gets one drink into him, he turns into this raging, horrible, like just he's a bad drunk, right? And yeah, okay.
Shout out to some people I know. I'm not gonna say any names, but you know who you are.
Then what I would do, if it's a wedding, it's the bride's brother. They right. So I would say if I'm Kevin Feige, I'm like, okay, I get a couple of people and say, your job at the party tonight is to always be within 10 to 15 feet of Rob Liefeld, and if something starts to go wrong, deal with it, right? Like if he has to be escorted out at some point, escort him out at some point. I don't know how you do not invite the creator of the character to the after party. Again, let me reemphasize. I would say to Rob, you're making too big of a deal out of this, but I would say to Kevin, this is a big deal.
Wow, they just need to sort out this thing on their own instead of now it's gone public.
Well, this happened like 6-7 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So, right, like I don't think this is ever getting fixed.
Yeah.
If this was going to get fixed, it would have been fixed 4 or 5 months ago. So I don't know, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, saying, I'm cutting all ties with Marvel. He's saying they actively disrespected me, didn't even invite me to the after party of the premiere. They did invite him to the premiere, but I don't know. How do you feel about this? I kind of see both sides of the argument, but do you feel strongly one way or the other? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we need to move on to it's time for us to take a message from one of the sponsors of our show here today. We're going to take a moment to thank the friend of our show, Hungryroot. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Hungryroot. You know, grocery shopping used to be one of the biggest struggles. Between your busy schedule and wanting to eat healthier, it just feels impossible to stay on top of everything. But all that changes when you discover Hungryroot, the easiest way to eat healthy without the hassles. Hungryroot is like having your own personal grocery shopper. They take care of the weekly shopping for you, recommending healthy, high-quality groceries tailored to your tastes, nutritional preferences, and even health goals. They've got it all: smoothies, snacks for the kids, ready-to-eat meals, and even supplements. For me, Hungryroot is absolutely a game changer, guys. My health goals have become so much easier to stick to. I love how they personalize my cart every week and even get smart about my preferences as I go. It's honestly stress-free and so simple. You're gonna love Hungryroot as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Campea and use the code Campea. That's hungryroot.com/Campea, using the code Campea to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With that down, Let's move on to this, shall we? You know, one of the real notable absences in the MCU whenever Hulk has been around has been the presence of Betty Ross or Liv Tyler, right? I mean, I really liked what Marvel was doing in Avengers Age of Ultron when they introduced a romance between Dr. Banner and Scarlet or Black Widow.
Yep.
I loved that. Like, and you know what? As I love that scene so much because they made the romance make sense in one line where, you know, Dr. Banner's like, why would you want a guy like me? And she says, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, she says to him, I've always been around all these guys who are looking to run into the fight. And then I meet this other guy who runs away from the fight because he knows he'll win. And that is, to me, like one of the best lines ever in the MCU. I love that line. So that made me get over Betty Ross a bit. But again, it needed to be noted, there's been a big absence of Betty Ross. Now, you guys might remember some time ago when they announced Captain America Brave New World, that there were some reports going around that Liv Tyler would return. And now we know for sure she is going to be. She hasn't been in any of the trailers yet. But why? Why is she coming back, and why is she coming back now? I don't think Bruce is in the movie. He might be, but so why bring her back? That's the big question. Well, the director of the film addressed that very question about why bring Liv Tyler back, particularly now. And this is what he said. This comes to us from Superhero Hype. Right, speaking with the official Marvel podcast, Ona, the director, explained why Brave New World was the perfect time to bring Betty Ross back, noting the importance of the character plays while on screen opposite her father, the recently elected U.S. President Ross, now played by Harrison Ford, following the death of Hurt in 2022. It was sort of a no-brainer to bring Liv back, the filmmaker said. She just has this real humanity to her. The relationship she ends up having with Thaddeus Ross in this film is a really big part of his journey of trying to cement his legacy and redefine who he has been as a human being and as a leader. And you know what? I gotta say, when I read that comment from him, it made sense to me. Because we often think about Betty Ross in terms of she's the one, until, you know, Black Widow came around, she's the one that helps Bruce keep his humanity, right? But one of the things that I've also loved about the Hulk film, and particularly one with Ed Norton Jr., is that father-daughter relationship between Thunderbolt Ross and Betty. Because clearly they love each other, but they're also in some ways can't stand each other. But they love each other. You know, it's that really weird, like, I'm gonna blah, blah, blah. But my God, if anybody touches my daughter, like, I'm so mad at her. She's this. Oh, wait a minute. My daughter's in trouble. Like, that sort of thing. And she has that same thing. And the whole idea of bringing her back to let her play that kind of role as well, not with the Banner Hulk, but the Thunderbolt Hulk, the Thaddeus Ross Hulk. I think that could be a really smart move, that she's that thing that ties him to his humanity. Maybe, and again, I'm saying all this as somebody who has not seen the movie yet. All right. I talked to somebody who did see the movie and said it's pretty good. Said it wasn't great by Marvel standards, but said it's pretty good. So that's good. And to have her back in here, I think kind of closes off something that a lot of fans have thought about for a long time. And I like it. And right. I'll be honest with you, I hope we see her more in this cinematic universe moving forward, because I love her as an actress and I really like the character.
She might be the key to what turns the tide against this Red Hulk.
Might be.
With her research or whatever. Maybe another serum or another gamma.
Because she is a scientist.
Right. I mean, maybe they have to bring her in. Or maybe she's the cause of this Red Hulk. Who knows?
Well, also, you know what they might do? They might pull a little bit of a Justice League. Remember in the theatrical version of Justice League, like, Superman is now alive again, and he's fighting all the other members of the Justice League. And Batman's like, okay, bring in the final solution, right? And what they do is they bring in Lois Lane. And then that's the thing that makes Superman go, oh, right. So maybe they're going to have a little bit, again, purely speculating. Right. I have no evidence that this is happening in the movie at all. But maybe there's a little bit of that where it's a bit of she's the thing that brings him back. Again, don't know. We'll have to see.
This doesn't. Well, for me, this moves the needle because I've had a crush on Liv Tyler for like the longest time, ever since Armageddon. But does this move the needle of you getting more excited for this film, or are you even excited anymore for this film after we've heard the comments that we've heard?
That's a good question. I mean, it's been difficult for me to get really excited for Captain America: Brave New World because, again, to me, neither Bucky nor Sam are Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America. And I see people argue, oh, they should have made Bucky. No. It would have made no sense for Bucky to be Captain America. And besides, Bucky isn't Steve. And Sam isn't Steve. And I get it. But yes, well, John, the comic books. The comics are the comics. The movies are the movies. So I've never really been excited about the idea of somebody else calling themselves Captain America when Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America. So it's been really, it's been challenging for me to get too excited about it. Now, I love Anthony Mackie.
Right.
And I think Sam has been a great character in the MCU.
And you can't miss Harrison Ford every time he's on screen.
Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross, the fact that they're finally tying in Tiamat in the ocean, the fact that they're bringing in Adamantium, the fact that we've got the leader, Giancarlo Esposito's in the movie.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things to like. So what I would say is that I haven't been excited for Captain America 4, but I've been looking forward to seeing it. And Liv Tyler, I will say her presence in it and hearing the director talk about her role in it, that increases my anticipation. I still won't say I'm super excited for it, but I am seeing it in a few days.
What I really don't like feeling is something I haven't felt in a long time, that it feels like I have to watch this movie in order to progress the Marvel story. Like, this is one I have to go to. I hate feeling that way because I do like Anthony Mackie. I do feel we need a new leader, and I think like he could be it. But I hate having that small feeling like, oh, what I want to get to, the Thunderbolts, I have to watch this. Or what I want to get to in future MCU, I have to watch. I hate even having a little bit of feeling because I like
but that's a cinematic universe.
I know.
Right?
I like having a movie being excited just for that movie itself, without any rewards or any like expected rewards after or whatever. Like I don't know how to word it. I'm very bad at it.
The thing that you brought up though is that the interesting thing through all this has been we've got a Captain America movie and a Thunderbolts movie, and I have been and continue to be way more excited for this Thunderbolts movie. I don't know why. But everything I've seen from this Thunderbolts movie has made me giddy. I've been excited. I love that Red Guardian's in there.
Right.
I love Bucky.
Right.
I mean, I think this is going to be a hell of a fun film, and I'm super excited for that. And hopefully, again, listen, I don't need Captain America to be like Captain America 4. I don't need it to be Captain America Civil War. I don't need it to be Winter Soldier. I just want it to be good. As long as I go in and come out and go, hey, that was a good time, then I'll be happy.
It's very funny how we got this upcoming movie and it's abiding by the rules, the laws. And then the next movie is breaking all the rules. Breaking all the laws. So I can't, you know what? I am excited because I feel anytime Harrison Ford is on the screen, I got to go see him. I don't know how many more we have left. I hope he lives forever. But you know what? We gotta celebrate the man. So I'm going to go watch this. Excited for him.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you like the explanation from the director as to why this is the time to bring Liv Tyler back into the MCU? How big or small of a role? I've seen some reports out there that says she's in like 15, 20 minutes of the film. I've seen some reports that say she's in like one scene. I mean, we just don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on now to your live comments and questions here, shall we? We're going to get things started off here with Sam Fisher, who writes, one of two. Theory as to why Thunderbolts has that little asterisk. From the trailer, it's clear they aren't really a team. They just so happen to be all in the same place at the same time. They're not an official team like the Avengers or the X-Men. It's almost like the asterisk leads to a footnote that says not a team or tentative name. And it's not a subtitle that they're hiding because it's a spoiler. Here's the thing. I don't believe that at all. If you're, because they made such a big deal out of it. Kevin Feige on stage, I think it was at Comic-Con, made such a big deal of the asterisks that it's got to be something of significance. Just saying it's because they're not really a team. Mm-hmm. That's not a significant enough thing to put it in the official title and for the head of the studio to get on board and says, yes, that's right. There's an asterisk with it. Like, that's the reason of it. They just so happen to be together. They're not really an official team. That does not seem nearly significant enough to change the actual physical title of the movie to include that. You used to have a theory that the asterisk represented the sun.
Yeah. It's just because my
century,
love
right?
Yeah, right. But what he's saying does make sense, literally, right? Like if we just took it as is without knowing anything else, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, they're not really a team. I get it. But yeah, to put it in the title and have me type out that damn thing every time we do keywords for it is nuts to me. Yeah, I'm with you, John. Like he went on stage, he actually pointed out the asterisk. He's like, Thunderbolts.
They made a big deal out of it.
Whatever. But I don't know. It could just be one of those things. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Next up, we've got, who do we have here now? We have Lord Helmet, who writes, this question may be dicey, but I think it's fair to ask. Is it possible Captain America 4 might struggle at the box office, especially internationally, due to current political events? I don't think this one any more than any of the other ones. I remember when the first Captain America movie came out. First Captain America, First Avengers came out. And if I'm not mistaken, there were some territories that the movie had a different title. Mm-hmm. I think there were some territories where the actual name of the movie was just The First Avenger.
First Avenger.
So it's not a new question for today. Like right back when the first Captain America movie came out, the movie fans were asking the question is like calling it Captain America going to be a wise thing to do in some international markets and stuff like that. So I don't think it's anything new with now. I think it's a question that's been around the whole time. All right. Next up, we got Save Legends of Tomorrow writes, after the F4 trailer came out, my social media feeds were exploding with the hashtag superfantastic and posts celebrating the upcoming July release of Superman and Fantastic Four. Could we potentially be seeing the next Barbenheimer? Well, no, because they're not opening on the same day. Barbenheimer was Barbenheimer because it opened on the same day. And what the other main characteristic of Barbenheimer was that they were two completely different movies. Fantastic Four and Superman are both high-profile, big comic book tentpole films, right? So they're not opening on the same day. They're opening relatively close to each other. So no, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination this is a new Barbenheimer.
They're a week apart, right? So 1 week.
Was it 1 or 2 weeks apart?
If they are 1 week apart, I'm going to point out the next weekend after both of them release is very important because we have, let's say that Superman opens, and then the next week, let's say Fantastic Four opens. Whoever people go see on that next weekend might be,
it could be. Do me fair. Actually,
let me
the actual those. I'll move on to the next question. You look up the actual release dates of those, but I think it's 2 weeks apart.
Right.
Anyway, next up, we go to Mike P, who writes, "Hey John and crew, I watched 16 movies for the first time in January with a 4-way tie for the best between Anora, Conclave, The Substance, and The Whale." Oh, not necessarily new movies. Okay.
Oh, 2 weeks. You're right.
They're 2 weeks apart.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
The worst was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in Superman 4. Yikes. What were yours? What were my what? I don't understand. Like, was mine what? Anyway, Superman 4, dude. That's the quest for peace, right?
Yeah. The
Wait a minute. Is
Century?
Is Superman 3 the quest for peace?
No, I believe Superman 4 is the quest for
peace. So Superman 3 is the one with Richard Pryor.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Because
the quest for peace.
Okay. The one with Richard Pryor was bad enough. Not that it was Richard Pryor's fault, but like a computer traps Superman by wrapping up in wires. Pretty sure Superman could bust out of the wires. Anyway, but yes, Superman 4 Quest for Peace with Nuclear Man is one of those films where it's just, I'm okay if someday the studio just comes out and says, we're deleting that movie We're not going to leave any traces of it, and we're all just going to pretend that it never existed. Artistically, you shouldn't do that. But in the case of Superman 4, I will be perfectly okay if they did that.
It was pure wrestling in that one, where the wannabe Sentry, it was like a matchup on the moon, right? The matchup on the moon where they fought on the moon, Superman against that.
Oh yeah, against Nuclear Man, who was made from a strand of Superman's hair sent to the sun or something like that.
You know, the other day we were watching, is Superman 3 the one where Clark Kent gets drunk?
Yes.
That is the most hilarious part. And like Ryan, I don't.
And his Superman costume gets all dirty because he's drunk. So bad. All right, let's keep going here. Next up, love Pit or hate Pit? Loves. Writes 1 of 3. Haven't checked out The Pit, but from what I've heard, HBO Max is trying to see if network TV could work as a streaming only show. No, that's not true at all. The budget per episode is close to network standards, below streaming or prestige TV. Has more episodes than typical for streaming, 15 episodes, and followed a faster paced production schedule, more like network TV, but the show is exclusive to streaming. It's apparently overperforming, and WB is looking to greenlight more shows like this to Max. Have you heard anything about this? And if so, what are your thoughts? Okay, so no, it's just that the whole premise of The Pit forces it to be made a certain way. The concept of The Pit is kind of like ER meets 24.
Right.
The show is in real time. Every episode is 1 hour in this one shift at the hospital. And it's going to be 15 episodes representing a 15-hour shift that they're doing in this emergency room in Pittsburgh. And they call it The Pit. And so it's one location. So you talk about the budget. Well, the budget's because they don't have to have a whole bunch of costumes. Everybody dresses in their hospital things, and that's what they wear for the whole show. It's all taking place on this one set in this hospital. That's where the whole show takes place. So it being 15 episodes, it having a lower budget, it was all because of the nature of the show. It really doesn't represent anything more. But I will say that this show is really good.
I have to watch this.
And I watched a video by a doctor. I came across this YouTube video by this doctor who said they finally did it. Somebody actually captured what it's actually like in an ER, in an emergency room. And they said no other show or movie has ever made it that. They've nailed it. And it's really good. And Noah, what's the actor's name?
Noah Wyle.
Yeah, Wiley. He, of course, was in ER. So a lot of people at first thought, oh, this is is this reality? An ER kind of reboot or something? Oh. No. He's just playing another doctor. But it's really good. It's excellent. And if you haven't checked out The Pit yet on Max, you absolutely should. It's really, really good.
They're like 5 episodes in, huh? This started on January 9th and now...
Yep, I think I just watched the 5th episode. Oh, yeah, it's really good.
Okay.
All right, next up. Cody Hunt Films writes, who do you have winning the Super Bowl? Eagles by a mile. The Eagles have Saquon and a great defense, but the Chiefs haven't given up a 100-yard game all year and even stopped McCaffrey last year. Mahomes always makes the plays when you need him the most. I'm going Chiefs. Listen, nobody wants to admit it. This has not been Patrick Mahomes' best year. He has had a little bit better than, I mean, this is factual. This is objective numbers. He's had a better than pedestrian season. Again, would I ever bet against Patrick Mahomes? Normally, no, but it's about matchups. I've been saying this for a while. The Eagles aren't just going to win this game. They're going to win it convincingly. They are such a better team overall. They're like, Kansas City's defense or offensive line is going to get manhandled. Kansas City's defensive line is going to get manhandled. Saquon Barkley, listen, they couldn't even stop Cook on Buffalo from running it down their throats last week. What do you think Saquon Barkley is going to do to them? Not to mention, they also have Philadelphia has legitimate wide receiver threats. So you can't just play the run to try to shut down Saquon. They've got a very athletic quarterback. It's just a bad matchup for Kansas City. So I'm saying that by 8 minutes left in the game's already over. I'm not saying it's going to be over by halftime, but I think with 8 minutes left in the game, there's not going to be any question. The Eagles are going to win. I think they're going to win. Now, again,
Kelsey should have never retired. So they can
Jason
play again.
Kelsey.
Yeah,
you mean.
Jason.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, Jason Kelsey's making more money today
Right.
than he ever made playing football.
But he could get that one over his or tie it up with the
got
brother.
a ring.
Yeah,
He got a ring, right? So it's not like he needed to hang in there.
Oh, you're right. You're right. He does have a ring. Okay, never mind.
Because they beat New England the one time.
Right.
All right. Next up, we got Jet Jaguar writes, one of two. Hey, John and crew, I've heard a lot of people talking about how they think the Fantastic Four universe will be destroyed. I also kind of think that. And their team will end up in main MCU timeline. But what if it's Earth's mightiest heroes that end up in the Fantastic Four universe? It's not. Seems to me, if you want to bring the X-Men in, mutants could have existed for ages in this universe. And being the 1960s, you could conveniently have a young Magneto who had survived the Holocaust. Thoughts? No, there's no chance in the world they're doing that. Now, I'm not saying there can't be a moment in the Fantastic Four where like a portal opens and like Doctor Strange comes in, but it's not going to end with, okay, all the MCU is now in this 1960s Fantastic Four universe. They're not going to do that. They've already talked about how they're going to be integrating Fantastic Four into the wider MCU. And if you know the story of Secret Wars, you know it kind of makes more sense. So look, until we see the movie, you can't say anything is impossible, but it's as close to impossible as it gets. I really don't think there's any way they're going to be bringing the MCU into the Fantastic Four universe. It's going to be the other way around. All right. Next up, Wade's Way writes, we theorize as fans, but I'm concerned for the Doctor Doom buildup. If we want the Thanos level treatment leading into Doomsday, Marvel has only 3 films to do it. Oh God, guys, we talked about this the other day. What film do you see start to show the threat of Doom? My guess is Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. No and no. And again, I know we talked about this the other day, but I got to say this again. You do not, what is with this myth? This completely unproven, totally debunked idea that if you're going to have a bad guy feel like a really big bad guy, you got to build him up in other movies first. That's bullshit. Darth Vader didn't have a movie he appeared in first before Star Wars. And he's the greatest villain of all time. Right? Hans Gruber didn't need some prequel movie to Die Hard before becoming a top 5 greatest villain in the history of films. It is an absolute fallacy to have any sort of belief that, well, in order to build him up and have him be really big, you got to have him pop up. No, you don't. You don't. Now, yes, we had Thanos turn around in Avengers. To challenge them is to court death. And he turns around. Okay, you think that did anything? I mean, all you needed for Thanos was that first scene in Avengers Infinity War.
Absolutely.
Where he comes in, beats the living crap out of Thor, kills Loki, beats the shit out of Hulk. That's how you set him up as a big bad, not some 30-second cameos and other things. Now, look, can they do it? Absolutely. You can have him pop up here, there. I think there's a chance that maybe he pops up as a post-credit scene in Fantastic Four. But this idea that, whoa, they need to build him up or else he's not going to work in Doomsday. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. If you handle the character right and you know how to make a movie, you don't need him having 3 or 4 cameos prior to that to build up to him. Listen, guys, the world is already super excited for this because it's Robert Downey Jr. returning. The world is already excited for it. So, like, can they pop some cameos? Sure they can, and maybe they will. But do they need to? Absolutely not. No, and there's no reality in which they need to do that to have a big threat level Doomsday. It's just you got to introduce him right in the movie. That's it. Just like Darth Vader, just like Hans Gruber, just like Hannibal Lecter, just like any other great villains. That's all you got to do. I make it sound like it's easy. It's not easy, but that's what you got to do. All right. Next up. Wade's Way also writes, don't get me wrong, the MCU doesn't have to hype up Doom before Doomsday because film history has shown that it's not needed. Well, I'm glad you said that. However, the MCU did this with Thanos, and it worked perfectly. So why not do it again when it comes to the big level MCU threat? It didn't work because of the formula. It worked because Thanos was a great character, and they told a great story. It didn't work because of some formula. Oh, here's the formula. Have 3 cameos in prior movies and then have them really come up. And that will make it great. They tried it with Kang. Didn't work so good for Kang, did it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you do it because it's the right way to make movies. You make a movie that's going to have a villain. Like 95% of movies, the villain is being introduced for the first time in that film. And if you do it right, then you're golden. You don't need to have this. And again, I want to point out that they tried to do that a little bit with Kang and it kind of fell on its face. Anyway. All right. But again, I'm like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm coming down on you, Wade. I appreciate you sending in the thoughtful question. I'm just saying, like, it's just one of these things where I see some people saying, well, they got to build up Doom. No, you don't. You just got to introduce them right.
They didn't do it with Ultron either, right?
No, they didn't do it with Ultron.
He just walked in the room. Yeah.
Anyway, You know what they also didn't do it with? They didn't do it with Joker.
They didn't do it with Loki.
They didn't do it with Loki. They didn't do it with Joker. Like Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, you say, well, John, at the end of Batman Begins, he held up the playing card. The Joker didn't appear in it. Heath Ledger, which most people say is the greatest comic book villain of all time, didn't have any buildup. They just introduced him brilliantly. Remember that opening scene of The Dark Knight with the bank heist and all that kind of stuff? You introduce him right in the movie. You don't need some stupid 3 or 4 forced in shoehorned cameos in other films if you do it right. And so, yeah, so that's why, again, could they put him in? They could. And that's fine if they do. I'm just saying they don't need to. All right. Hank Pym writes, I think Ariana DeBose's Oscar win was a fluke. Oh, it was no fluke. It was no fluke. Wish, ISS, Argyle, Craven, and now Love Hurts, which she was awful in. On a positive note, Heart Eyes was a very fun, corny slasher. I would say she was very good in ISS.
Yeah, she was.
But here's the thing that a lot of film fans do. I want to point out. Craven, Love Hurts, Wish, Argyle. Don't hold the actor responsible if the movie's crap. Sam, why am I freezing on Sam's last name? He was in Moon. Sam Rockwell.
Oh, Sam Rockwell, yeah.
Sam Rockwell looked like crap in Argyle. Do you think Sam Rockwell isn't a great actor? That he didn't deserve his Academy Award? It's that the movie was horrible. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can do when you have a bad script and you have like bad dialogue. What are you supposed to do? Actors don't write their dialogue. Actors don't write their scripts. I don't think, and listen, you put her in a movie directed by Steven Spielberg in West Side Story, for which she won her Academy Award. She 1000% deserved that award, and she 1000% is not a fluke. She just hasn't been in any movie since then that really gives her an opportunity to shine.
You know, the thing, it's like, I respect his opinion, whoever wrote that in, but you got to include who you thought should have won then. When she won.
Well, he didn't say she should have won. He's wondering if that was a fluke.
Oh, okay.
Like if she's not actually that good.
Oh,
I would say absolutely she's that good. 100% she's that good. Anyway. All right, next up. Mick Mustache writes, one of two. They should look to the streaming ad tier price system for inspiration. Advertise film session times plus a door close time 10 minutes before start time. After that, stragglers wanting to skip ads get charged a small late fee at the theater. I will officially never go to movies again if they ever did that. That is one of the worst things I've ever heard. Because I bet if theaters are forced to disclose start times, they'll just increase ticket prices for all of us to compensate. I'd rather be given the option as a consumer. That's the thing. You're not being given an option right now. Like I do when I pay extra for ad-free Netflix. Also, New Dexter is a 9 out of 10 show. I'm really liking the New Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
No, listen. Right now, you don't have an option. You don't have a choice because they lie to you. They say movie time, 7:00, but that's a lie. And you can say, I have a choice to go 15 or 20 minutes late so I can skip the commercials. But the problem is they're trying to manipulate you because every once in a while, the movie theaters will actually start the movie 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late instead of 20 or 30 minutes late. So you get in, and this has happened to me. Don't tell me it doesn't happen because it's happened to me a number of times where I've walked into the theater thinking, I'm going to walk in when there's just still another 2 or 3 trailers left. And I've missed the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie. It's happened a number of times. So they try to manipulate you and lie to you and trick you, saying, oh, you better come on time. If you actually want a choice as a consumer, then they should tell you when the trailers start and when the movie starts. That gives you a choice as to whether or not you want to go and watch the movie. It is absolute bullshit that they try to force you to sit down and watch that. Let me ask you this. All right? Let's get real here for a second. Let's say Disney Plus introduced a new system where you want to watch, I don't know, Mandalorian, all right? And you go onto Disney Plus and you click on Mandalorian, let's go. But Disney Plus forces you to watch 30 minutes of commercials before Mandalorian starts playing. You hit play, and Disney will not load up Mandalorian until you have sat and watched 30 minutes of commercials. Let me ask you something. How much longer is your Disney Plus subscription going to last? How much longer are you going to stay subscribed to Disney Plus? You load up Netflix. Oh, great. Yeah. We got Stranger Things season 5, baby. I've been waiting so long. Great. Gonna click play. Boom. Your show will commence in 25 minutes after you've watched this 25-minute block of commercials. You can't fast forward it. Yeah. You can't do anything.
You can't blink.
You got to watch it 25 minutes. Let me ask you something. How long will your subscription to Netflix last? You're going to be canceling it pretty quick.
That would be terrible, John. That would be terrible, especially if it's like the Tesla keeping your eyes on the road and it censors you. So anytime you look away, it resets the time.
But the movie industry has turned movie fans into such sheep that we just accept it. Bah, yes, I'm okay. Yeah, show me 30 minutes of ads, even though I fucking paid $20 for this movie ticket. Yeah, make me watch 30 minutes of ads. Bah, that's what it's done. But hey, listen, if you want to be snapped out of your haze, again, think about it in terms, load up Apple TV Plus. Great, I'm going to watch Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso will start in 30 minutes, and they put a little webcam on the top to make sure you're there watching the ads. And if you step away, the ads will start over again.
That would suck.
No Ted Lasso for you unless you watch 30 minutes. That's exactly what the movie theaters are doing. They're not giving you a choice. They're saying, sure, show up late, but you might miss some of the movie, or come in when we tell you and sit through 30 minutes of commercials, even though this isn't a free presentation. Like, look, I've said this before, and some people are too stupid to understand this. I'm totally okay with ads when I'm getting something for free. I load up a newspaper's website or something, there's going to be ads. You know why? Because I'm reading this site for free. You're watching the John Campea Show. We put on some ads. You know why? Because you don't have to pay $20 to come in and watch the John Campea Show. I'm totally okay with that. So if you want to going to your movie theater free, hell yeah, I'll come in and watch 30 minutes of trailers. I'll come in and watch 30 minutes of ads if you're going to give me the movie for free, but you're not. You're making me pay $15 to $20 for a ticket, and that disqualifies you from then making me sit and watch 20 to 30 minutes of ads before my movie starts that I paid for.
There's only been a couple times that where we were sitting there and maybe a trailer, I saw it on the big screen and it changed my mind about going to see a movie. That very rarely happens, but it does. But a lot of the ads I have a problem with because they're misplaced. Those Coke ads, shouldn't they be on the kiosks or on those TVs where people wait in line for the tickets? Never once did I see a Coke ad in the theater when I'm sitting down and be like, oh man, I need to go buy a Coke. Like I already have that in my hand, you know, where I walk. Like again, they're just misplaced ads, I believe. The ads could exist in the movie theater. They're just misplaced. A lot of them. Again,
it's such common sense that if you presented it in any other medium, you want to read this book, you have to read these first 20 pages of ads first. You want to watch this TV show first, you got to watch 30-minute commercials first. Oh. We would, of course, say that's unacceptable, that's ridiculous, that's stupid. But the movie theater industry has conditioned all the little sheep to be totally okay with that. Oh, it's like the whole thing about, you know, If you drop a frog in a pot of boiling water, jump out, put a frog in normal water and just slowly turn up the heat, it'll just cook. That's movie fans. Bah! We just been conditioned to it.
You know, John, what I thought about is like on streaming services, we have a countdown. Movie theaters are probably totally against that because then they know people will get up and not watch these ads or something like that. What do you think? What do you think is going on with that? What if there's a countdown till from where your movie started? Like and like, you know how they do with streaming?
Here's the thing. Like if you're like, I've got a bunch of friends who have kids.
Right.
And they're always like, whenever they want to go to a movie, they got to get a babysitter. They got to pay.
That's who I feel sorry for.
It's about knowing when I should be at the movie theater.
Right.
Guess what? When I go to an NFL game, when Ann and I go to a Rams game, I know what time the game starts.
Right.
If they can start the game on time, you can start a movie on time. I mean, so anyway, there's just that.
Right.
All right, let's keep going here. Next up, we got Matan Valinsky who writes, would you support the idea for a voiceover work category at the Oscars? Or do you think it will be another ghetto? Chris can tell that voiceover requires a different skill, and it will be easier. The detriment nominees than stunts. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. No, I'm not. I don't think they should have a category for voiceover work for one main reason. There's not enough. Every movie has a lead actor. There are going to be thousands of them every year. Hundreds to thousands of qualified movies every year. So to get a nomination, you're in a field against a certain amount of people. There's a certain amount of directors, cinematographers, producers, writers, whatever. I would just suggest that the field would be far too small to make a category, to give it a dedicated category. If the time comes when all movies are CGI and like half the movies are out there are CG characters and half the movies out there have voiceover artists in it, then there's a big enough pool there. But right now it's just not a big enough pool that I think to warrant or justify its own Oscar category yet. I definitely think there should be avenues, just not at the Oscars, for voiceover artists to be honored. And I'm sure that there are, but until it's a bigger thing in the movie industry, I don't think you create a dedicated movie category or a Oscar category for it. All right. Next up, Ian McAllister writes, Scrubs, Shrinking, Ted Lasso. You're mentioning Bill Lawrence shows. Scrubs, Shrinking, Ted Lasso, and now Bad Monkey. Is it safe to say Bill Lawrence is the GOAT when it comes to comedy sitcoms? No, I wouldn't say that yet. Is he on the road? Yes. He's definitely on the road. I still haven't watched Bad Monkey yet. Everybody tells me it's really super good. So I got to check out Bad Monkey yet. But he's definitely a guy now when he's ever doing anything. And by the way, Ted Lasso season 4 is coming, everybody. So keep your eyes on that. All right. Anonymous Theory writes, Love Hurts was disappointing. Ki-Hugh Kwan is a delight as usual. There's decent action and comedy, but it bizarrely felt both rushed and slow. Companion, however, was something special. Sophie Thatcher was incredible, as was the whole cast. Incredibly satisfying. Yeah, I really like Companion. Now, I got to look this up, see if what I heard was correct. So I had tickets to go see Love Hurts yesterday.
Right.
But I honestly was pretty much under the weather. And I was still going to go see it, but then I looked up the thing for it, and it said, at the time it said 18%. It has gone up to 21. And so I made a decision, because Ann and I we had tickets to go, and Ann's like, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, I still want to go. And then we looked up the RT rating on it. I'm like,
ouch.
I don't think I want to rough it, like, because I was feeling pretty crappy. I'm
Right.
still feeling pretty crappy today,
Right.
but I didn't want to drag myself to the theater if the movie wasn't gonna at least have the chance to be pretty good. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't look like it was gonna be very good, but I love Ki-Hugh Kwan, so I don't know. I'll get around to watching it at some point for sure. All right, next up, we've got Don't Drop the VHS. Says, Hey, John and crew, I'm hype about the new DC, but I'm sad that we didn't get Ben Affleck's Batman. Me too. I heard it was supposed to be Terminator style. Any insider scoop about the plot? Thanks, and bring on the nasty movie talk. Well, listen, it's not Terminator as in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. Terminator as in Deathstroke.
Ah.
So what we knew, and it's very limited to what we know, all we know is that was going to be a Batman Deathstroke movie. Batman v Deathstroke. And that was what Ben Affleck even filmed this really cool little like sizzle thing for it. And, you know, one of the writers at DC Comics said it's the best Batman script ever written. And yeah, I'm really bummed out that it never happened. I was dying to see it, but, you know, things happen. All right, next up. Dildar the Glorious.
Dildar
says, hey, John, just want to say sorry for your loss and hope you're doing well. We're all here for you. I appreciate that very much. And as I've said before, I'm still overwhelmed by the flooding of well wishes and good thoughts that everybody's been sending me. So thank you so much to everybody who sent in all their well wishes. It means a great deal to me. Thank you. All right, next up. CR writes, one of two. Bloomberg broke news today that the Wonder Woman game changed directors and production restarted last year. Since its announcement in 2021, Warner Brothers changed to WBD and Gunn became the head of DC. I hope this means it will be part of the DCU. You're against games being DCU canon, yes, since it would limit filmmakers with game events. But how is it different from a Wonder Woman movie having one director and then a sequel being developed with another? Wouldn't the sequel's director be constrained too? Yes, but it's being constrained to itself. It's its own movie franchise already.
Right.
Any cinematic universe, you have to stay consistent within your film franchise. What I'm against is throwing 5 more wrenches into that and saying, well, now you also have to be consistent with the video games. And now you got to be consistent with the comic books. And now you got to be consistent with this. It's hard enough for a cinematic universe just to stay consistent with itself. Star Wars is a great example of this. Star Wars came out and said, you know, back in the day when Disney took it over at first, it was a great idea, but they came out and said, from now on, everything's going to be canon. The comic books are canon. The novels are canon. The video games are canon. Canon, canon, canon. It didn't take long before that glass shattered. Didn't take long at all. They realized it's just too convoluted. Not to mention, in a video game, different things can happen. So, wait a minute. Like in a lot of video games, multiple things can happen in a game. In one game, you play a game and this big bad guy could die. But if you play the game again, maybe the big bad guy doesn't die. So which part is canon? Which part isn't canon? So being consistent with your own film, that's one thing. That's just being a cinematic universe. Making it 5 times more convoluted and complex by saying that video games have to do it now. And it's just, it's a mess. And it's already been proven. It's not even a question. It's been proven. You can't do it cleanly. Star Wars tried. There's nobody can make it work. It's just not something that can really happen. All right. Next up. Al writes, I just watched Transformers 5 the other day. It was terrible. I don't remember which one 5 was. Which sucks because I liked the first 2 films, but it got me thinking, are there any other franchises out there that got worse with each installment? Others including Kung Fu Panda, Jaws, etc. I don't think Kung Fu Panda got worse with each installment.
The Last Night was the last Transformers. The Last Night.
The Last Night. That movie was horrendously bad.
You didn't like the dinosaur?
Oh my God. No, Mark Wahlberg becoming the last knight of Cybertron. Oh my God, that movie was so bad. But like, if you're talking about a franchise where every movie got consistently worse and worse, I don't think Kung Fu Panda did that. I don't think any of the Kung Fu Pandas were as good as the original, but I think they went like kind of up and down. So one that got worse with every single movie.
Expendables.
Yeah. Yeah, Expendables is one. That is definitely one that none of them were as good as the first one.
You made 5 of them.
3.
You know, well, yeah, because, you know, there's some people who like some of the
3 was
Transformers.
the one with Mel Gibson, right?
Right, that one was pretty good.
3, I think, was better than 2. I think 3 was better than 2.
Yeah.
4 was one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Yeah, so maybe.
So that's a good question, but it's tough because first of all, you got to think of a franchise that had more than just 2, and then which one of them all.
American Ninja.
American Ninja. Yeah. Yes, I'll give you that. American Ninja is one of them. All right. Next up. Reacher Around writes, solution to pre-movie ads 30 minutes before a movie starts. Do a 15-minute split screen with ads and trivia. You use an app to answer the questions, and the winners get a free bag of popcorn if they buy another ticket within 2 months. That's not a solution. because it's still requiring me to buy a movie ticket and then have to sit through 20 to 30 minutes of stuff I did not pay for. I did not give you my $20 so I could sit here and play a trivia game or to watch a Coke commercial or to see 18 movie trailers. And I say this as somebody who loves movie trailers. I made a documentary about movie trailers. I love movie trailers. But yeah, no, the only solution is let people have what they actually paid for. If you want to show somebody 30 minutes of trailers, you damn well better be showing them the movie for free, because that's the way it works everywhere else. So yeah, that to me, unfortunately, Reacher, I don't consider that a solution. All right. Anonymous writes, John, thanks for answering my question about your time in university. In the UK, sharing your room is not a thing in halls. You may share a flat, but you have your own bedroom ensuite if you only share the kitchen/lounge. With more money, you can get a studio. Yeah, so this person wrote in the other day and asked about, like, is it true that in university you had to, like, share a dorm? Yeah, my first college, Tyndale Theological Seminary, we had these rooms. It was like one box of a room. Bathrooms are in the hallway. So there's one square room, one just big, not all that big, open room. And you had one bed on one side and one bed on the other and two desks. And you shared it with somebody. You had to have roommates. So that's just the way I don't know if they still do it that way, but that's the way they did it when I had to go. All right. Next up, Superman writes, I'm confused as to why they're doing a Superman Puppy Bowl ad and not a Super Bowl spot. Well, I don't know that they're not doing a Super Bowl spot. Is it the high price tag? Maybe they don't want to put out another trailer so far from release. I welcome it. I just feel that Super Bowl is more effective. Thoughts. They're charging $8 million. They're charging $8 million for a 30-second Super Bowl spot. Now, I still think they are going to drop a 30-second version of the trailer and say full trailer online. I don't think it'll be a new trailer, not yet. But listen, there's a lot of movies not doing it. And here's the thing. The first Superman trailer became the 5th highest viewed trailer in history. When you had that many people's eyeballs on it, it maybe makes you reconsider, well, do we need to spend
exactly
25% of our marketing budget on one 30-second spot?
Exactly.
So I totally get it why most movies don't get a Super Bowl ad. And maybe they are still going to do it. Maybe they're not. We'll have to find out. All right. Next up, we've got Jerry, who tips in $20. Thank you, Jerry, for supporting us on that level, man. And Jerry writes, hey guys, hope everything is good. I wanted to ask you, either Red Ghost, who could John Malkovich impersonate? I was thinking Molecule Man, and even if I think the movie as an easier plot to put him in it, what do you think? Well, I mean, Molecule Man, he looks nothing like Molecule Man. I mean, that character just didn't say anything to me about Molecule Man. Now, of course, we should probably get a Molecule Man type character in Secret Wars, but I don't think that's it. I think there's a much better chance that he is Reed Richards' dad, or that he is Sue and Johnny's dad, or he's Puppet Master. I don't even think he's going to be Red Ghost. I mean, he could be Red Ghost. I don't think he will be. I think he's going to be one of those other guys, but I don't think he's going to be Molecule Man. I don't think he will be. I might be wrong about that, Jerry. I could be somebody else entirely, but those are who I've kind of narrowed down, who I think it could end up being. All right. Next up, Hayden Wilson writes, why is AMC showing Prime ads for movies only going to Prime? Seems backwards to advertise in a theater. Is my AMC the only one? I have not seen that myself.
Yeah, me either.
I haven't seen that myself. There are Amazon movies that go to theaters, so maybe it was that. But I don't know.
I mean, is he actually talking about the ads before the real trailer? You know, when the lights dim down, that's the real ads that are before the movie.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Because, like, if you let's say the movie time says 7:00.
Yeah.
If you walk in at 6:45,
we see a lot of ads.
There's just commercials playing, right?
Yeah, all over the place.
And commercials for a lot of different things. So that would make sense there. I don't think they would put in a trailer for a streaming exclusive movie in with the trailer block.
Yeah, that would be strange.
Yeah, if it was before the start of Showtime, you could get commercials for anything.
Yeah,
in there.
Maria Menounos.
Yep. Yeah, the Nuvi thing.
Even,
yeah.
Our friend, what starts her name? What starts with a P? What's Perry?
Perry Nimrod?
Yeah,
yep.
Perry.
She does stuff with them too.
Yeah.
All right. Next up. Rocky Drago writes.
You can't be both.
Let's see.
Be both.
The Lively versus Baldoni drama, not my thing. Good, because we don't talk about bullshit TMZ nonsense here. But thoughts on Deadpool's Easter eggs, jokes that made no sense now, enhance the rewatch. Lots of proxy jabs via Nice Pool, the man bun, male feminists, lady Deadpool's weight, intimacy coordinators, much more. Nah, that's all. That's so. I'm not even gonna. No, that's so stupid. For those of you who don't know, it has nothing to do with any of the movies coming out, so I don't talk about celebrity gossip and celebrity nonsense. Like if it's the Johnny Depp thing, it literally got him removed from the Harry Potter movies, so we talked about it. But I don't talk about things that have no bearing on any movies coming out. But in this Blake Lively, whatever fucktwit's name is, what's his name?
Bablani.
Baba Dabuni?
Yeah, Baba Dabuni.
Baba Dabuni, whatever his name is. Baldoni, that's it.
We have to be professional here. Come on.
Yeah, I saw a report saying Baldoni's saying that Nice Pool in Deadpool and Wolverine was directly an attack on him and making fun of him. Moron. People have to know who you are to know that he's making fun of you. Nobody fucking knows who this guy is. And you think like the people making this multi-million billion-dollar film care about, let's compromise our movie by putting in some little jabs at some no-name guy that nobody knows. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong in any of the other stuff going on with their lawsuits. Not at all. I'm not a fly on the wall. I don't know any of that. And I'm not making any commentary on that. I'm just saying, how stupid do you have to be to think, because nobody knows who you are. You're a nobody. And saying, in this big high profile movie, they made this big part of the movie just to make fun of me. Oh my God, are you that stupid? Are you really that stupid that they would compromise, that Kevin Feige would allow them to compromise their movie? No, the Nice Pool thing was hilarious and it worked and it was a great thing in the movie. And not one person sitting in movie theaters in North America thought about Baba Booey or whatever his name is. Not one person on the planet when watching Deadpool Wolverine thought for 1 second about Baba Booey Boy.
Sometimes
nobody cared.
Sometimes people can connect the dots and then it makes their story seem right. But sometimes you still have to jump to that.
Yeah, that's a pretty big jump.
You know, everybody has a nice pool in their lives. I know a nice pool. Everybody has a nice pool. So why not? This guy, I don't know. I'm staying out of it. I haven't read anything about it. I get some YouTube stuff with the headlines.
It was absolutely more of a fun thing on the Canadian side of Deadpool. It was a Canadian thing.
Everyone knows a nice pool.
Baba Booey nonsense. Anyway, next up, Mr. I writes, "Hey John, my sincerest condolences to you and your family on the passing of your mom. Thank you very much. I know things have been hectic, but have you had the chance to catch up on Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? I was amazed by episodes 1 and 2. Episodes 3 to 5 got better in my opinion. I was not amazed by episodes 1 and 2.
I gotta watch this.
I thought it was good.
Oh, that's way better than you initially.
Yeah, I thought it looked really stupid. But I watched episodes 1 and 2, and I was like, you know what? That's not bad.
How's the Peter Parker voice? Does it grow on you? I'm so used to Tom Holland. Well, and it kind of jarring to me when I saw the trailer.
No, it's a nerdy. Remember, this is not in the MCU.
Right. But still,
it's a nerdy little high school kid. Okay. So the voice was working for it. Yeah, I thought it was good. I haven't watched anything other than episodes 1 and 2. Again, I did not think I don't know why people think episode 1 and 2 were great. But okay, to each their own.
Are these a full 30?
I at least liked it. What's that?
Are they a full 30? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I don't know if they're a full 30. They felt short.
Okay.
But I mean, they could have been. They could have been longer than that. I didn't really keep track of it, to be honest with you. All right. Ronetta W writes, "Hi guys," probably meant hi guys. "I'm so sorry for your loss. My heart goes out to you during this difficult time. Thank you. What did you think of Kendrick's 5 Grammy sweep? I don't care about the music industry whatsoever."
He got 5 Grammy. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I sorry. I finished reading it. Awesome. Right. Then everyone yelled out a minor line when the song was playing as he went up. Yeah. I don't watch the Grammys. I mean, I heard that Beyonce finally won.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, I think
Congratulations to all the
like,
winners.
She won like Country Album of the Year and something else bigger.
Ooh.
But yeah, I don't follow the music industry, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I don't
tough.
care about it. I'm really excited to see Kendrick play the halftime show.
Oh, is he playing the halftime show?
Yeah, he's
at
doing the
Super Bowl?
halftime show at Super Bowl, so I think that's gonna be cool.
Mhm.
But other than that, I really don't care. I don't follow it. All right, next up, Arlo writes, "Hey John, Superman is my most anticipated film for DC in years, and I have a question. We know the Snyder fandom have not been kind to the film, even though they haven't seen it yet. And DC Studios, do you think they have every right to stay bitter on WB due to what happened to Zack Snyder? Nothing happened to Zack Snyder. Nobody has a right to be mad about anything. It has nothing to fucking do with you. Get over it." Nothing, like literally Zack Snyder. And listen, I say this as a massive Zack Snyder defender because, okay, forget Rebel Moon. Okay, take Rebel Moon out of it. And all of his filmography, there's only one movie Zack Snyder's made that I didn't really like, and that was Sucker Punch. I've liked or loved every single other of his movies. Particularly, of course, Man of Steel. But he's just a director. It's not his movies.
Right.
Never is. It's the studio's movies. He was hired just like any director, just like Peyton Reed was hired to come in and make Ant-Man. Ant-Man doesn't suddenly belong to Peyton Reed. He came in, and look, the reality is, as it doesn't matter how much I loved Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman or whatever, the reality is a whole hell of a lot of the audience did not.
Yep.
That's just the reality. Now, if you want to be butthurt and act like, I get disappointed too when things I like gets canceled, but oh well, then you move on. You want to get butthurt as if this was some kind of personal affront? I don't know. To me, it's absolutely pathetic. Anyway, next up. Derek H. writes, "Good day, John. I watched the Fantastic Four trailer, and I do think it looks very promising, but I honestly believe the thing looked better with practical effects in 2025. I do not. Just my opinion. Do you think CGI was a mistake for the new one? No. Because if you're going to do Ben Grimm, the Thing, even remotely right, it's got to be CGI. And listen, I did not think the Fantastic Four trailer was great. I liked it. It was all right. I thought the Superman trailer was way better. So I didn't think it was great. I have my issues with it. I do not understand the criticism of the way the Thing looked. I thought the Thing looked awesome.
I absolutely love him.
I think it looked great. And I'm sorry. You go back and listen,
great.
Michael Chiklis playing Ben Grimm was great. But you go back and watch Michael Chiklis walking around in that rubber suit. It does not hold up. It was not a mistake to do the Thing CGI. The only way you can do, like, what are you going to do next? Get Lou Ferrigno back and paint him green? If you do Hulk, if you're going to do the Thing remotely right, it's got to be CGI.
Okay.
All right. Next up, Forbidden Arms writes, "Eagles, baby." Yeah, I think they're going to win and win handily, but anything can happen on any given Sunday. Jacob Galbo writes, "Hey, good Canadian kid. Listen, today my job forgot to pay me for the week. And on the way home, I was hit and ran into the wall at 55 miles an hour. I lost my car.
No.
Everyone that saw just drove by and left me in the wreck. Thank you for being awesome." Oh my God.
What?
It's horrible.
I hate to laugh, but the way you put that, it seems like just nonchalant.
You know what's funny?
I hope you're okay, by the way.
First of all, hope you're okay.
Yeah.
This reminds me, when I was flying home, on my way to Toronto, as I flew up to Canada to be with my family, I saw the most Canadian thing ever at the airport.
Okay, what?
So
Let's hear this.
my Uber driver dropped me off at the wrong door at the airport, right? So I had to walk, just not far off. I just had to walk a little bit. So I'm walking by.
Wait, hold on. You were by yourself?
Yes, I was
Okay,
by myself.
okay, and followed up. And
Was in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Remember? So flew from
Okay,
Pittsburgh trying to meet me there, right? So I'm walking down in the airport, and we're walking by. I can't remember if it was United or Delta, one of the two. It was one of the American things, right? And where you go and check in and check your luggage and stuff. And there was literally this heated argument going on between these 2 or 3 people about who was next in line. I swear to God, I'm being dead serious. And like one of the gate attendants was there trying to moderate it and bring it down a bit. And they were literally arguing, or blah, 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 blah. Like, no fists were being thrown or anything, but literally this large argument. I finally get to the Air Canada check-in area. And I swear to God, there was literally an argument going on of two people insisting the other go first. It is the most Canadian thing I had ever seen in my life.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I just couldn't believe it. I was gonna put something on social media about it, but I didn't.
Oh, what a funny story. That's like two different worlds right there.
It's two different worlds.
What was the other airlines? Can you blast them?
Like I said, it was either
Was it American Airlines?
No,
Tell me it's
no,
American
it was either Delta or United. I can't remember. And it wasn't the airline's fault.
I know, it would just be funny if it was.
Just like I said, it
Americans
was
and
actually
Canada.
called American Airlines. Anyway, it's like, no, listen, I have more luggage. It's going to take, you'll be quicker if you go first. Like, it was crazy. Anyway.
It should have been like, okay, nice pools. Let me get ahead of you.
Let's see here. Next up, we've got Mr. I, who writes, as to the story yesterday about posting actual show times, probably what he meant. I have a compromise. I understand that the theaters don't want to lose ad revenue, although there's not a lot of ad revenue there. Anyway, make the actual movie start times as a perk to memberships like Regal Unlimited and the AMC equivalent. No, here's why. Because let's say you don't have an A-list, right? You went and you paid, paid 18 bucks.
Okay.
You paid 18 bucks to go and see the movie. You did not pay 18 bucks to go and watch a half-hour trailers. So I personally don't find that to be a compromise. I think you are literally ripping people off of their time. Again, no other form of medium does this. And like I said, if all of a sudden you loaded up HBO Max and it said, oh, you want to watch the new episode of The Pit? Great. First, you got to watch these 28 minutes of commercials. Then you would cancel your subscription to HBO Max. But when it comes to the movie theater, they've so gradually manipulated us that now we're just sheep now. It's like, okay, yeah, it's perfectly fine. It's fine. Yeah, now you're going to make me watch 40 minutes of trailers? Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. Like, it's just, we got to wake up here. I really think this is a problem. Anyway, next up, we got Eric Escato writes, hey, John, with David Cornsweet strongly resembling Henry Cavill, I don't think he strongly resembles Henry Cavill. I think there's some similarities. I would totally, I've never once looked at a picture of Henry Cavill and confused him with David Cornsweet. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, how would you feel about Henry playing him? I don't believe anybody has been announced to be playing Jor-El yet. Might be a good way to give Man of Steel fans closure. Thanks. No, it'd be too much of a circus gimmick.
Yeah.
Now listen, I do believe that Henry Cavill can be in the new DC universe somewhere, but to put him in as, say, Ultraman, or to put him in as Jor-El, it's too gimmicky. It's way too gimmicky. It'll pull you out of the movie. And besides, if you're Henry Cavill, would you want to do that? Of course not.
It would just be tougher to get Henry Cavill, this new Superman, his fair shot. I mean, if you put him next
if we're gonna make Henry Cavill, if we want Henry Cavill at some point to come in as a new character in the DCU, well, now you close that door if you make him pop up as Jor-El.
Yeah, it's too close.
It's too close, too gimmicky, too circusy. I would say no. I think it would be a bad idea. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank Ray Ora.
Hey, everyone, have a good weekend.
My name's John Campea, everybody. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.